could get rid of these COVID.
Yeah. But lumping it all together, highs and lows, the low to start with, Shane, like Coach mentioned, limited crowds, people wearing masks in the stadium, and one of, if not the biggest star in college football last year, Trevor Lawrence, missed one big game. Remember, Lawrence didn't play the Notre Dame game. Clemson won the game, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence had to sit out because of COVID.
But he was on the sidelines.
Yeah, he's on the sideline.
Made no sense.
And I don't think he had his mask on, did he?
I don't know if he did or not.
I don't think
I
he
don't
did.
think he did. He's just cheerleading on the sideline.
It's still crazy to me how, if I remember correctly, all the coaches and personnel had to wear their mask on the sidelines.
Yeah.
But here are the players.
Yeah.
You know, in the huddle and on the sideline, none of them had their mask on.
But what a strange in terms of highs and lows. Kind of looking back to 2020 as we were about to kick off 2021 college football season, and not a specific order, guys, but who would have ever thought? Crazy moment last year. A shoe throw was one of the big stories right here in Gainesville. Marco Wilson throws. I mean, how do you script that? Who would have thought a player would have made a tackle, had the opposing shoe in his hand, and threw it? Crazy moment. Just an odd moment. And Vanderbilt had the situation where they had the first female kicker, remember, last year? Sarah Fuller stepped onto the field. And, Coach, Notre Dame, last 11th hour, Notre Dame had to do something. They joined the ACC last year for 1 year as a full member. One year as a football full member.
Yeah, I think they ought to join for a full member every year, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. The shoe throw, though. I mean, Shane, where does that come from? I mean, you couldn't have gone to Hollywood and said, what would be a strange ending to a big game on national TV in college football?
Yeah, I mean, it's something Marco's not happy with. It's over with and done. And I think he just realized he had a shoe and just threw it because he made a good play. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But that ain't the reason they lost the game.
No, but just weird highs and lows. You would have never seen that coming. One strange good moment for North Carolina, an embarrassing moment last year for Miami. North Carolina had two backs last year, Carter and Williams, real good running backs for North Carolina. Remember the Miami game? They went for two backs, set a two-back total record against Miami. They rushed for 544 yards. The two backs, the two guys, unbelievable. Miami couldn't stop them. Just an odd situation. Last year as well, I thought, guys, and you agree because y'all got a lot of picks right during our picks contest. Several of the group of five really took a big step. They really took a big step. Coastal, remember Coastal came out of nowhere. Liberty had a great year, Coach, with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze, he was up for a bunch of big jobs. He didn't get any. But, he had Liberty right there where they lose one game all year, something like that.
Yeah. I
and
think
Coastal was a big story.
Yeah, so Coastal was the huge story, group of five. Liberty was the huge story. And I think Liberty beat Coastal, finally. And don't forget Louisiana. Right out of the gate, they knock off Iowa State. But, boy, the group of five, Shane, really made 2 or 3 big strides, I thought, last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good programs in there, and that's why I'm a huge proponent of them continue playing the big boys because, as we mentioned many times, they need the check.
Yeah.
But it gives them an opportunity, their kids, to play in a big-time environment.
Going over some of the highs and lows from last year, 2020 college football. A low turned into a high for the Oklahoma Sooners. I don't know if people remember what a start they had. Coach, they win their first game last year. They beat Missouri State, okay? So they're 1-0. They lose their next two. Kansas State beats them. Iowa State beats them. So they're at that moment, guys, Oklahoma was 1-2. Their next game, they took a 1-2 record to Dallas and barely won their next game in 4 overtimes, Coach Spurrier. So Oklahoma didn't lose again, and they got it rolling.
That was a good run they had. It certainly was. 4 overtimes. They beat Texas. Now, let's say what if Texas wins that one?
That's what I'm saying.
Herman's probably still there, and Sark's still at Alabama, but Texas could have won the Pac-12 last year. That game really hurt Texas.
Shane, obviously you remember that game. Here's Oklahoma. I love what Coach Spurrier just said and where he extrapolated. Oklahoma rolled into Dallas 1-2. They barely beat. If they don't win that 4 overtime, and Texas had 2 or 3 chances to win that thing. Oklahoma is 1-3. Rattler had gotten benched in that game. Who knows where Oklahoma's season goes the rest of the way? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they were fortunate. I guess I don't remember the entire way the playoff, or not playoff, but the overtime worked out. But you know, who knows? They could have gone into the jar.
Yeah.
But
and Coach makes a great point. Texas wins that game. They may roll the rest of the year, and Herman may still be there.
Yeah.
It's funny. And, Coach, you always talk about circumstances and what have you done for me lately kind of stuff. Wow, what a situation. Oklahoma was floundering. They don't lose again, roll through. Rattler gets his confidence. Hell, he's the #1 Heisman contender going into this year. And talk about being the #1 pick. Boy, how quickly that turned. In Oklahoma, it was spinning out of control at 1-2. Army-Navy, because of last year being such a weird year. Remember, Army-Navy was played at West Point. How cool that was. They played the game at West Point. I thought that was neat. Coach, first game of the year, how wacky, some of the highs and lows. First game of the year last year, Mississippi State behind KJ Costello. That name is gone. He threw for 623 yards and 5 touchdowns. Game 1 against LSU, he's the toast of the town and doesn't even come close to finishing the year as the starting quarterback. Crazy.
Yeah, that was the highlight for Mississippi State. That first game. They were the toast of the nation. I'm not kidding. Yeah, Mike Leach threw for, 600 yards?
623 and 5 touchdowns against LSU. And, the defending national champions.
Yeah, quarterback Costello.
KJ Costello, the transfer from
Came
Stanford.
from Washington. Stanford, you're right, Stanford. I actually watched him play against Washington State a game the year before. Yeah. And he threw for a bunch of yards that game for Stanford. In fact, he broke, I think, Andrew Luck's Stanford record, the game against Washington State. Washington State came back, still won it. Gardner Minshew might have been there. No, Gardner had already left. It was the second quarterback.
Gotcha.
But anyway, Pelini, the D coordinator at LSU, tried to play man-to-man, tried to blitz, and obviously that's not the way to try to stop the air raid. So after that, though, Mississippi State, they saw the big soft zones, and that's probably what they're going to see this year.
Shane, you remember KJ Costello, week 1. I mean, he was Sports Illustrated. He was Player of the Week. He was 623-5. Don't forget, that was the defending national champions, LSU, from the year before, right? They had won it all in 19. Opening game, 3:30. Everybody in the world's watching for LSU. The novelty was a little bit of Mike Leach, but damn, Costello can't miss. I know Coach Spurrier, our show after that, you jumped on it. All you football guys jumped on it. You're going, why are they playing man-to-man? You're supposed to just pass that off and tackle them, right? Just pass it off. Shane, you noticed that as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've liked bits and pieces of the air raid, but if you play man coverage with all the different mesh routes, the shallow crosses, the crossers, they're going to pick you to death.
Yeah.
And they've never been a squad that throws it down the field vertically enough for me. Now, he completed some balls on some wheel routes and stuff because you were in man coverage, but gosh, you would think a guy like Bo Pelini, who had been around a long time.
Yeah.
All right, it's halftime. We need to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
He kept pitching it. Crosses.
Yeah, the defensive coach is now the head coach at Washington, Jimmy Lake. Yes. He's the one that played the big soft zones against Washington State. And Washington State did not beat Washington in the last 5 or 6 years, something like that. So you would think, well, everybody, Jimmy Lake, we saw him out at Pebble Beach, by the way, brought his team out there. He said everybody in the country was calling me about it. How do you guys stop the air raid of Mike Leach?
Sure.
So Mississippi State saw completely different coverages after that LSU game.
The rest of the year. Coach, I want to take a quick second. You've got a couple of reunions coming up during the football season. Kind of wanted to talk about. One in Gainesville and one in South Carolina, I guess.
Yeah, last year we didn't have a chance to get our 95 team back here. So we're going to combine the 95 and the 96, 25 years ago. The 95 team was the first ever to go undefeated in the regular season. And they're still the only one that went undefeated and won the bowl game.
Gotcha.
So one time we were 12-0 there and had a bad night against Nebraska, obviously, but finished number 2 in the country. And that was one of the great teams we've ever had here. And then, of course, the 96 team, they were really probably pretty similar. 96 team, we lost the one at FSU, but got the rematch, and everybody ahead of us kept losing. And so we were able to be national champs with the 96 team. But both of them were so similar, 12-1 records. Both of them were 9-0 in SEC play, which is a school record. Before that, Shane's team in 91, 7-0. was the only undefeated SEC record up to that point. And now we got 3 teams that have done that. So they got a bunch of records, and it's going to be neat to all of them come
And
back.
95 and 96 will come in Tennessee week.
Tennessee week, yeah.
Tennessee game, and Tennessee week will be a big time. I bet a bunch of them will be here at the restaurant and in town, and then on the field at between quarters. That's somewhere?
Yeah, between first, second quarter, we usually go out and stand around and let the fans give them a nice ovation. And our fans have been really super about giving good ovations to these teams that have won championships.
And then you mentioned, I think this year you've got a South Carolina reunion. A couple of those great South Carolina teams that you coached up there.
Yeah, South Carolina is trying to bring back our 10 and 11. 2010 was the year we won our only division, Eastern Division. So you got to celebrate something, and that's a big championship up there.
Oh, sure it is.
And that team beat #1 Alabama. Really, we had a heck of a team that year. We beat, I think, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama, and lost to Kentucky, Arkansas, FSU, but Auburn. Lost to Auburn twice, regular season and the championship.
A real good Auburn team, though.
Yeah, that was
real
Cam
good.
Newton's year. Yeah. So anyway, we played some really good teams. But anyway, and then the 2011 team was the first one to ever win 11 and first one to ever finish in the top 10 in the nation, which is something we always talked about.
Sure.
Shane will tell you, we have goals that bowl game will determine if you're in the top 10 or not.
Sure will.
So even at Gator Bowl we won in '92,
North Carolina State.
we snuck in number 10 in the nation and won the polls that year. We were 10 and 1, 11 and another one. So that was a good win. Even though it looks like, hey, what are you guys playing for? Shoot, we're playing, try to get in the top 10 in the nation. And that's what occurred after beating NC State.
Sure. So in review, this year, the Florida-Tennessee home game here in Gainesville, there will be a reunion of the 95 and 96 Gator teams. And the South Carolina reunion honoring the 2010 and 11 teams. Did you say there is a date set for that yet, or are you still putting that together?
Yeah, that's going to be the October 2nd Troy game.
Troy game.
Up there. Yeah, October 1 and 2.
Right in the middle of the
guys
season.
will come in
Right in the
that
middle of the
weekend.
season. Sure.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sure.
And have a nice little celebration there.
One more topic I want to get to before Coach gets out of here. We'll get to Tim Tebow in a moment. Shane, a lot of shows are popping up now, and a lot of shows you and Coach have done for multiple years, including your popular Inside the Huddle show that you guys do with Steve Russell. That's the you draw the grease board. I call it a grease board, the whiteboard. What did we say? Tuesday the 31st of this month. That'll start, right?
Correct.
And same cast.
Same cast of characters. Yep.
So Coach Spurrier, Shane, and Steve Russell, and y'all do a neat thing. Y'all take a lot of plays and break them down. You X and O them kind of, right? That's what I like about that show. So that will start. I know, Coach, here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, man, the shows are coming fast and furious now, including Gator Talk. Is it Gator Talk? I think that's the name of it. Yeah, Gator Talk. Debuted last night, first time up in Visors. That's
I tell you what, we caught a beautiful night.
Yeah.
The rain came through and cooled everything off, so it was really nice up there. Mary Wise came in the second half. Travis McGriff came by and talked with us first 15, 20 minutes. His story is really neat, Terry, because he came in the same recruiting class with Ike Hilliard, Riedel Anthony, Jacquez Green, Nafis Kareem, and so he had to sort of wait his turn. And he was redshirted, didn't play much his first year, but his junior and senior year, in '98, he still has a school record for receiving yards in a season.
That's a good
Travis
trivia
McGriff.
that you throw that trivia out. That's a good one.
I mean, he got better and better every year, and was really
You tell that trivia.
one of our great players here. And we're talking about the receivers from the city of Gainesville: Willie Jackson, Chris Doring, and Travis McGriff, setting all kind of records, all three of them. So that was sort of neat to have a local guy. And Doug Johnson played very well during that time also, 97, 98.
And certainly you bring up McGriff. That name is a legacy name around Gator athletics and Gator football. But Travis was a ball player. That wasn't just let's give him McGriff a scholarship and put him on the end of the bench. He was a ball player.
He was very good. And it's one of my favorite Gator trivia questions with all the All-Americans, the guys that played in the NFL. He holds the record for the most yards
in a
single season. Yeah. And always seemed to be open. He just always seemed to be.
I think
able
he's
to.
the last player to catch a touchdown and throw the ball in the stands in a regular game. Remember that? We were playing South Carolina. I think it was his last home game of his career, and he caught one in the fourth quarter.
Get on to him, Coach?
No, it was like 58-20 or something.
Yeah.
So, no, it was late in the fourth quarter.
You got to get onto him. Even you got to fake it a little bit though to keep the other players from doing it, don't you?
Well,
a little bit.
they don't do it early in the game or a close game. It was late.
What's crazy is
Yeah.
you go back to the rules have changed now about celebration, you know. And when I've had like Jack Jackson and Riedel and that whole crew on my
They
show,
came through the bad time.
oh, I mean, like Riedel used to like take his helmet
Yeah.
off and get down with like a shotgun.
He had his shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jack Jackson did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, he did
and Rhett did his Q dog.
Yeah.
They'd all have penalties on them
Yeah.
today.
Well, you guys know, Coach, and y'all were right in the middle of it. There was it was way over-regulated. Probably a year or two after that, college football, they were throwing flags if you sneezed. And it affected games and plays. I mean, guys would just barely do anything, and it worked out. But there was about a 2 or 3 year run in college football, guys, where they over-regulated that.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
You remember that, Coach?
I still remember the Sugar Bowl we lost to Miami. Rashae Caldwell caught about a 30, 40-yard pass right near the end of the first half. We had about 30 seconds left. He got up, just went like that. First down, us. Referee come in there, flagged us back 15 yards, and we didn't score at the end of the half there. And I said, that's a penalty, and the ref said, that's excessive celebration. And I said, oh, come on.
But sometimes
So they could throw it anytime they wanted to.
But a lot of times the opposing team might sack a Gator quarterback, and they would do that.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't get much. Where's the penalty at?
Yeah.
You know,
If he got in his face and did it,
I agree with that. Yeah. You know, the Big 12 this year has passed the horns down. They've said, I guess Texas cried so much, but the
they
conference
can't do that now.
and they can't. An opposing player can't like on the field kind of
Give them the horns down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now on the sidelines and all, I think it's
Yeah.
okay still. Isn't that right, Shane?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I'm like, Coach. I mean, that's what makes college football great when kids can celebrate.
And isn't
now,
that an honor?
if you get up in somebody's face,
I
it's a
agree.
different thing.
I'm
but-
fine with that.
Right.
But if Riedel or Ike or somebody scores a touchdown and they go and jump into the stands or do whatever to the Gator crowd, what's the
Isn't
big
it a
deal?
bit of an honor, though, if your college thing, obviously the Gator Chomp or the Seminole or Horns Up, if your program's thing is derisively mocked, doesn't that mean you're pretty good? They're not doing the Vanderbilt thing in front of a Vanderbilt guy, right? Doesn't that mean your program's pretty damn good?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think, anyway. But, yeah, the horns down. They want to get the players, the opposing, don't do it on the field because that might hurt
Hurt your feelings.
hurt their feelings a little bit. You know, those little soft 20-year-old, big, strong football players.
Yeah.
They have their feelings hurt. Coach, 5 minutes. Let's get some thoughts on the Tim Tebow experiment is over now in the NFL. You know, obviously this is what I do for a living. I give opinions. I'm right. I'm wrong. I immediately had to do something and post something. I thought the Jaguars were 100% correct in releasing Tim Tebow. I just don't think he has NFL skills. And he was the first 5 cut. That speaks volumes, right? They went from 90 to 85, and he was one of the first 5. So that spoke volumes.
You know, actually, Dr. Pete Indelicato and I drove over there last
I heard you
Tuesday.
at practice,
Yeah,
yeah.
Coach Urban said, come on over
Yeah.
anytime. And Pete actually makes some clam sauce, Italian thing for Urban. He brought that over for him. But anyway.
Was that cut day?
So
That was
we
like-
were
yeah.
out there Tuesday, and Pete came by and said, wonder where Tebow is. And we looked at all the tight ends. They're all running around. We couldn't find an 85 out there.
Yeah.
And so one of the ball boys was over there filling up the water jugs or something. I said, where's Tebow today? He said, Coach, he got cut this morning. I said, really? So, yeah, they brought him in early and just told him it wasn't working out. But he said all the right things,
sure he
and
did.
Jag said all the right things. And this will give Tim, I'm sure, time to get back with his ESPN, SEC Network
You would
guys
think so. You would
and
think
do
so.
all of his TV stuff. And he said, yeah, I had a shot at it, didn't work out,
Yeah.
and move on.
And we saw some of the highlights. It was number one. It was a long odds chain.
Yeah.
And he just didn't have the NFL skills. I mean, if you break it down,
Tight end.
he just didn't have NFL skills.
Right, true, but he's also 34.
34,
You know,
sure.
I heard something the
Sure.
other day that really surprised me too. Is, you know, once all the cuts are down, it's going to be roughly 1,600 players in the entire league.
Okay.
I believe they said there's only about 25 that are 34 and younger, unless you're a quarterback, kicker, or a punter.
Okay, so move them aside.
Yeah, but I mean, think about that.
Wow, it's a young
It's
man.
a young man's game, and you know, people are like, why did they put him on the practice squad? Well, by the time practice squad is over for a year, he's 35.
Yeah.
He's, it's a time when
tough.
it's time to hang it up, and it is what it is. And I know people are upset that the Jaguars gave him a chance, but pretty much everything we do in life is about relationships and people you know.
Well said.
So, I mean, Urban's going to give him every opportunity, but Urban's got to do what's best for their program.
And then speak to the fact that if you're one of the first 5, that you weren't even considered practice
Right.
squad. There
Well,
was no negotiating.
the
Did we put
biggest-
him on practice squad, right? The first 5 are the
Yeah,
first 5.
the biggest thing that you pointed out, I think it was the Monday show, is he wasn't on any special teams.
16 snaps in the preseason game, 0 special
That
teams
right there
snaps.
told me he wasn't going to make it.
When I saw that on the participation, I happened to read an article that broke it down. I go, ooh, that's not good. The other tight ends all had some snaps. All of them they were healthy. And then one of the 4th-string tight ends actually caught a touchdown pass. The only touchdown they scored. But when I saw that, Coach, I thought that's rough because you knew he wasn't going to get a lot of balls thrown his way. And we blocking. By the way, everybody's laughed at the viral videos of the blocks, the 2 blocks. Blocking is an acquired skill. Blocking is hard. You've got to know how to block. You don't just wake up and block.
And the dudes he'd have to block, the Aaron Donalds of the world, and all those guys coming off the
Outside
edge.
edge guys. And Coach, if blocking's a skill, not getting blocked is also a skill. Those guys don't want to get blocked, and they're good at it, right? I mean, you got to know what you're doing. I've always heard, and Coach, address this in Shane before we get Coach out of here. Staying with the blocking's a skill, in my opinion. It's a learned skill. How many times over the years have I heard a hot shot running back on whatever team, you say, well, why doesn't he play more? And the word you hear is, well, he doesn't block real well. He doesn't block. I mean, that is a running back that is as athletic as anybody on the team. Isn't blocking a skill? You got to know how to block.
Well, you got to practice it
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Red, people don't know how much he blocked. He had blocked all those blitzing linebackers, Fred Taylor, Terry Jackson, all those guys. They were good blockers. Carl Frank's our running back coach in those days. They practice blocking every day, just like running with the ball.
And it's not so much knowing how to block, it's knowing who to block and what your assignment
Who
is.
to block, their assignment. But again,
Mm-hmm.
those guys don't want to get blocked either.
Right.
So you got to know how to block and be good at it. The defensive guy's job is to get off blocks, right? So I think people just say, you say it real well on your show, and you spend a lot of time in locker rooms as players and coaches. I think a lot of the fans, they saw Tim Tebow, and yes, he added 20 pounds. He looks great. He's a big, thick dude anyway, and he got bigger and thicker. The casual fan I ran into, man, he'll maul people. He'll be a great blocker. They don't understand how big those guys are.
No,
Everybody's that big.
NFL.
Tebow on those highlights he didn't stand out. He was just a guy.
Yeah. What I like to tell people in that league, the guys on defense, they're paid to kill, basically.
Yeah, go get that ball.
They're paid to hurt people, and it's everybody's big unless you're
Absolutely.
skill guys are big now, but quarterbacks aren't. Quarterbacks are huge now.
Big man's league, isn't it?
Oh, they're all big. The wide receivers are 6'3",
That's crazy.
6'4",
It's crazy.
all of
Yeah.
them.
Quarterbacks are 240.
Pharaoh Cooper's over there. He's about 6'2". He looked like a little guy.
He was a good player for
compared
you,
to,
Coach.
He was
a
I
good player.
hope he makes the Jag team. He is a good player. And Minshew, I got to know Gardner out at Washington State.
when your
I
son
went
was-
out there one year, and he's taller than me. And he looks like a little guy out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Gardner, how you doing? So, he's probably 6'1.5".
He's going to be a guy that plays a long time.
He's a good player,
Minshew?
good attitude.
Scrappy.
Gardner
Well,
Minshew.
I think
he's a ball player.
I think he understands the X's and O's, and so, it's kind of like my situation. I didn't play a lot, but if you go to other teams and they know you're going to know what to do if you're put in the game.
I'll wrap it up with this, and we'll get you out of here, Coach. Take our first break. Come back with Shane for a couple quick topics. Getting back to the size, and I don't think the fan understands. I'll never forget. I got in this industry in 93, 94. The Jaguars got awarded in 93 and started playing in 95. Okay, they got awarded in November of 93, and they started the 95 season. So I was in this industry about 2 years when the Jaguars. So I had, I'd covered your teams and been down to Gainesville and practiced and been in Tallahassee and been in the locker room. I've covered college football, Florida and Florida State, for about 2 years. I've been at practices, sidelines, locker rooms. It's big dudes, big college guys. Never forget, that first year, I was assigned to get sound on like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from the Jaguars. I'd go down and get the sound, and then get in the locker room and go to practice and be on the sideline. during games. Those college guys are big. NFL guys are grown-ass men. Big difference. Big difference. Those are grown-ass men in that locker room with the NFL guys.
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story about being over there also, Terry.
Okay.
They have guys come referee. You know, I got the referee uniform on, and one guy came over to me and said, "Hey, Coach, I didn't get his name. He said, I played for you in the East-West All-Star game in Honolulu back in '94, I think it was." And I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I played DB at Miami." And I said, "We won that All-Star game, didn't we?" He said, "Yeah, Coach, we won that dang thing." And blah, blah. And I said, "I probably told you guys, if you win or lose that All-Star game, you're going to remember it the rest of your life. Right, Shane?"
Right. And
So you might as well win it. And we had a heck of a game, the Japan Bowl with Shane and was Brunel the
Brunel was
quarterback?
on the other
side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was on the west.
So every time Shane
back.
sees Brunel, he says, "We kicked your butt in that Japan Bowl."
Last
didn't we?"
time, yeah.
Yeah, but it is, it's last college game these guys ever play, and you're going to remember it, so you might as well try to win those things.
And that was proof positive. The guy walked over to you and
Yeah,
said,
he remembered it, yeah, of course.
Remember that game. Coach, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. A lot of big stuff going on. Obviously, Spurs, Gridiron Grill, rocking and rolling. Make sure you get over here if you're in the Gainesville area. We'll take a break, come back. Shane, a couple, 2 or 3 rapid-fire topics around college football as we are 8 days away from kickoff 2020.
8 days away.
Taste the islands and every drop of Vida de Luis tequila. 100% blue agave from Tequila, Mexico. Good vibes.
It's time to thank the sponsors that make College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell possible. Vida de Luis Tequila, the official tequila of College Sports Today. Make sure you ask for Vida de Luis Tequila by name in your favorite bars and restaurants throughout the state of Florida. And of course, with your next margarita inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The official seafood restaurants of College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell can be found up and down the northeast Florida coast. Safe Harbor Seafood Mayport, Safe Harbor Seafood Crescent Beach, and Sliders Oyster Bar Neptune Beach. The proud seafood sponsors of College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell. J.B. Coxwell Contracting, established in 1983 and offering complete site development. Go with the company generally considered the most well-respected heavy civil construction firm in Northeast Florida. Go with J.B. Coxwell Construction. For advertising information to get your business on College Sports Today with Spurrier, Matthews, and Norvell, simply shoot me an email, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. Again, shoot me, Terry Norvell, an email, and I'll get back with you. That email address again, tnsportsjacks@yahoo.com. We are back here inside the brand spanking new Future Home Loans studio, our brand new sponsor, Future Home Loans. You'll hear a lot about these great guys and ladies. They from clear to close, they get it done quickly. They've got great relationships with so many lenders out there. Future Home Loans, that is our studio here, one of our newest sponsors. If you're interested in getting your business, product, or service advertised here on College Sports Today, reach out to me, Terry Norvell, and there's an easy way to do it. And we've got a special going on right now. Football season special, buy 4 months. Get the 5th month for free right there. That's right, free. Don't get that very often, but this will take you straight through September, October, November, December, and if you so choose, get January for free. We are broadcasting, as you can see, inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are inside the Future Home Loans studio, and we thank Robert Lynn and everybody involved with Future Home Loans. Check out what they can do for you. If you are getting into the home buying arena, the financing first is the way to go. Know what you got, get it squared away, and then go find the home. There's a bunch of homes out there. Make sure you are not making a 15 or 30-year mistake by getting the wrong mortgage. Shane Matthews, Terry Norvell, couple of moments here as we'll wrap up a Friday edition. Shane, two or three things to go over real quick as we are 8 days away from college football. Florida State, I think we've gone over this before, and I think this just kind of is one of those bad luck things. But boy, you look at the Noles. The last 5 years, they haven't been very good. Okay, Alabama, that year they played Alabama, Jimbo was still there. They were good, but they were declining, and we know where Jimbo went. You look at FSU, though, they're in as bad a period as FSU's been in 40 years probably, right? 40, 45 years. Their opening games don't help. Here's their 5 openers. Last 5, they opened with Alabama. Okay, that was a good team, Florida State. Bama, Virginia Tech, Boise State, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame in a little over a week. Tough openers. Conference games, good out-of-conference teams. FSU, now, you scheduled them, but their openers, combined with not being very good, it set the negative tone for FSU. And they've got Notre Dame staring them down the gun barrel the day before Labor Day.
Yeah, well, maybe they need to do some group of 5s.
Maybe. Well, Boise undressed them on that hot day in the second half. Remember, Boise came down here, hot day in Tallahassee. FSU looked like they were controlling the game, and FSU got gassed in the second half. Remember that game? Boise rolled them in the second half, but Bama, Virginia Tech, Boise State, Georgia Tech, not a great program last year. It's a conference game right out of the gate, and they lost it. And then they got Notre Dame. Boy, that's tough for FSU getting off to bad starts. What do you make of, I think it's a developing story. I was talking to some people yesterday, some people that really cover college football, and they think there's some stuff to this whole Scott Frost and maybe having his team taken off campus during COVID and practicing last year, and that's not good. And he's 12-20, and I'm hearing this stuff may percolate a little bit. Now they play Illinois. They open up. They're the first watchable game next Saturday. I think it's 3:00. Nebraska at Illinois. Illinois new coach Brett Bielema. The last thing Scott Frost needs to do is go out and lay an egg. He's 12-20 up there, and I know he's a local, but they're on him pretty good.
Yeah, they are. It's a mess up there. But
it really is.
He's got a new athletic director, Trev Alberts, who he's got a good relationship with. So I do think this is a big year for them.
Yeah, he got to win some games. They do not need to lose out of the gate to Illinois. Conference game. Boy, the Big Ten plays a bunch of early week conference games.
They do.
They're all playing conference games. Just short straw, Georgia. Injury bug, my goodness.
They got a ton of guys hurt.
My goodness. They got guys. Georgia has guys from last year carrying over with injuries. They've got new injuries. Eric Gilbert isn't an injury, but you could call it an injury. He's not with the team. Speaking of openers, it just kind of times out wrong. It looks like Washington, the big tight end, and Smith, the portal safety from West Virginia, looks like they're out for sure. 3 to 4 weeks. They'll miss the Clemson game.
Yeah, I think this game is more important for Clemson because of their remaining schedule.
Agreed.
So if Georgia loses against Clemson, they still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, your point is a good one. Clemson just doesn't have enough makeup, right, on the schedule, makeup ground on the schedule, unless somebody goes bonkers. I guess it could happen. I guess North Carolina could meet them in the championship game and be ranked 3rd, maybe. But it's a far, Georgia, you're pretty confident. If they lose to Clemson, they still could get a big, I call it a pelt on the wall. They could go get a big pelt named Florida. They could go get a big pelt. Somebody else may be good that comes out of the SEC, but somebody in that SEC West in Atlanta, they could also, to kind of negate. And remember, Shane, you know how these seasons go. You've played in these seasons. A lot of times those huge games, particularly those Labor Day weekend huge games, see Georgia Clemson coming up. That game gets played. We're all going to watch the hell out of it. We're all glued to the TV. Late November, it seems like that was 15 years ago, right?
And it seems like all those games are like that are blowouts.
Yeah. I can't remember I can't wait to settle in Labor Day night or Sunday before Labor Day night and that big game, and it's just a edge of your seat. edge of your seat game. So we'll see. But boy, Georgia, their center has got a little finger problem. Their projected center, he's out missing some time. So Georgia's got a lot of issues with injury and just guys leaving the program. Last thing, Shane, we've talked about this a little bit. I just can't remember, and I think it's portal induced. I can't remember a year where a chunk of the real contender teams, what would you say? There's 8, 9 real contender teams out there. I can't remember a year where a large percentage of the real contender teams are coming in with new quarterbacks. Normally, the contender teams, one of the things you pick them because they've got a returning quarterback. Mm-hmm. Is that portal induced? You look at Alabama. You look at Clemson with an asterisk. I'll say he's a new guy. He's played some. You look at Ohio State. You can go on and on. The only ones really, Oklahoma brings back a seasoned guy, JT Daniel, but Oregon and all these teams, brand new quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Is it portal?
Well, I don't know how many of them came out of the portal. The ones that you mentioned.
No, I'm saying portal grabbed some of them that would have been there.
Well, I mean, but if you look at Clemson, this guy was a signed DJ, whatever his name is. He was signed. He would have probably played earlier if there wasn't Trevor Lawrence.
And I've got an asterisk by him and an asterisk by Georgia because but Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Oregon, Notre Dame, Florida. That's 6 of your real teams.
But maybe I'm not understanding the question. All those teams you just mentioned, the 6 teams, everybody that's going to be starting for them was recruited and has been at the program.
I got you. It's just strange that so many contenders have question marks. Not returning, threw for 3,000 yards, 3,500 yards. I mean, Ohio State, man, it's 3 or 4 guys trying to win that job.
Right.
A&M.
But I believe those 3 guys were all recruited by Ryan Day. And they just had to wait their turn.
And some guys may have portaled out that are somewhere in college football that might have been there in their second year is what I'm saying. I wonder if that's portal induced. But, man, normally the chunk of 5 teams that you think are contenders, most of them, preseason contenders, most of them, you pick them because you go, their quarterback comes back. They're okay at quarterback. They're settled at quarterback. Mm-hmm. But Uiagalelei at Clemson and Daniels, asterisks by them. They've played 4-ish games.
And Daniels a transfer.
And he's a transfer.
None of the other ones are transfers.
Yeah, interesting. But, man, it's kind of weird to think that and here's Georgia. Here's Georgia with a returning guy's got about a year and a half of experience, I guess. What we say, they played quite a bit his first year, Daniels, and he played four games. Here's Georgia, some of the nemesis teams that have been edging them out and winning titles in this 5-year run, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State's been in the mix. Here's Georgia, they bring a guy back. All 3 of those guys are breaking new guys in. I mean, if not now, when? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
But then again, Georgia won't play them until late, other than Clemson. They would have to play Alabama late. They'd have to play Ohio State in a playoff. So there you have it. I'm about done. Just want to do a little look back. 2020 is in the rearview mirror. 2021 right around the corner. Anything we're missing? Anything pop up on your show?
No.
That we need to get to? Any golf today?
Mm-hmm.
You got golf?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Sounds good. Heading to the golf course. That'll wrap it up. I want to thank Coach Spurrier for his time earlier. If you missed that, check it out on the archive. You can always check all the shows out on the archive. He had some funny and good stuff to talk about earlier on the show. For Evan and, of course, Shane, I'm Terry Norvell. We'll do it again Monday, the next edition of College Sports Today.